So yeah, welcome everybody to the community meeting. Let me share my screen and we'll go through some agenda items here. So yeah, first things first, if you can add your name to the attendees, that'd be awesome. It's good to see some new faces. So welcome Sean Temer from Super Orbital. And yeah, good to see you, Terry. Good to see you, Ray, again. First announcement, we just had the announcement for ArgoCon North America. So this is exciting for folks who can make it to the US for the conference for KubeCon. There will be a full day for Argo on Tuesday before the main event. So that's November 12th. And call for proposals is open now. It'll be going through July 14th. Make sure to submit before midnight local time there. It's quite straightforward to submit. If you want any feedback on your submission, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to give you feedback on that. I've been on the CFP committee before. So yeah, have good feedback and know what will make a competitive proposal. Looks like, yeah, we have great topics around CI/CD, scalability, data ML, observability. Please submit multiple proposals too. And people like it when it's two companies, multiple companies, multiple folks with different backgrounds giving the same talk. So that's one option, a presentation or a talk with one or two speakers. We also accept panels around a given topic. Just note that panels do need to include, I think, at least one woman. And then there's lightning talk options. So that's always great too, if you have a exciting topic that doesn't need a lot of time to cover. And make sure to register if you're going to attend early. Looks like early bird's already gone. Shoot. So that's kind of odd given, yeah, ArgoCon was just announced, but standard price is still better than late. So watch out there. Awesome. Yeah, any other comments on ArgoCon before we move on?
Was that the early birds for ArgoCon or KubeCon in general?
That's a good question. It says, yeah, maybe this was, so all access would include
Oh, all
co-located.
access. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's normal, I think.
Yeah, I guess just kind of weird that, yeah, you had to reserve early before you knew what was all access, but is what it is. I don't know. I wish I had a voice on those things, but the CNCF does that, so take it up with them. Let's see here. Yeah, next up, we did just put through a patch release here. So I wanted to call that out. I believe this is just for 3.4. So that is out. Where did it go? I guess we had the 3.4 release.
Yeah, I think you have to scroll down.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's there we go.
because it's sorted by the version.
Yeah, I'll drop the link in the chat here. Thanks, Anton 3.4.7. So yeah, shout out. Thank you, Terry, for getting this over the finish line. Isitha, Anton for doing a bunch of the cherry picking. Does anybody want to hop in and kind of provide a quick overview of this patch?
Uh, it's mostly like small bug fixes, and the critical ones are like the security vulnerability fixes, and there are some also important controller fixes and UI fixes. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, big UI upgrade for that from the Argo UI library. Awesome. And we are now working on 3.5 patch. So yeah, as Anton just mentioned in the chat, thanks Anton, that should be the next one. Sorry, this huge change log. So 3.5.7 is in flight. Terry, Anton, you can, I guess, speak to the archive workflows fix. Is that slated for 3.5.7?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the major one. That's the
Okay.
main reason we want a patch release as soon as we can.
And
Anything else, Anton?
the controller config map one is one that I've been working on for a while. I have it fixed out, but Julie had requested more tests, which I think the reason we didn't catch it earlier is because they didn't have tests. So I haven't gotten to that yet. That's the one other P1 out. Yes, and 305.6 already had performance regression fixes for 305 as a whole, for archive workloads in 305 as a whole. 305.7 just has this is an improvement and a correctness fix.
Anton, since you've been doing a lot of cherry picking to 3.5, could you provide a summary in that issue when we are tracking the release? So basically summarizing what's been cherry picked into 3.5 branch and what's left from there.
Yeah, you mean currently
This one, yeah.
for 305.7?
Yeah.
There's not much in 305.7 right now, so we've only had a couple of fixes so far.
Okay.
I did most of the stuff I cherry picked so far into 305.7 are actually a bunch of docs fixes that we hadn't gotten in previous patches, because we now have version docs. So
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. And then Alan, thanks for joining. You mentioned there is a regression that'll get fixed. Do you want to speak to that really quick? I can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not. I'm mobile at home. Yeah, there was a regression to do with retrying workflows that had retry nodes in them. So if you basically had if you had retry, if you were attempting to do had a retry strategy within your workflow and you used the retry button from the user interface, it would not work. In 356, that's a regression that needs to go into 357 as well. There's a patch that I'm reviewing.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, any other questions on patch releases from the folks on the call?
Really looking forward to that SQLite database. I think
Right
I'm
on.
first
Have you
people.
tried it out yet, Ray?
I have not.
Cool.
Maybe
Please let
when
us know.
the new one comes out, we'll upgrade.
Thanks. Yeah, please do upgrade quickly to 357 if you can on your dev environments so that we can get feedback on that and make sure it's working really well. So far, yeah, reviews and testing has gone well. So thanks to all who reviewed. Great. On to our community presentation demo. I'll hand it over to you, Nazar, if you want to share your screen and take it away. Thanks for demoing today.
Thank you, everyone. Let's get started. So today I'm going to talk about my experience in developing a plugin, or what we call it like an executor plugin for Argo workflows. As it appears from the title, it's a notifications plugin, and more particularly, it is for Slack notifications so far. So I'll start by giving a quick overview of our environment. So we implement ChatOps, which means that we handle our deployments from Slack. We have like a simple bot that gets our inputs, and then once we submit, it triggers an Argo workflow. The problem that we had that eventually got us like to use Argo plugins that it was hard to keep track of the messages in Slack channels. So for example, as we can see like in the screenshot, when like a workflow starts, it sends like a Slack message, for example, that hello secret port has started, and like then other applications also like send out their like notification messages. So we will have like to wait for our application to finish, and we will have like to scroll down until we like see the message that we want for our application. We thought it would be much better like to get these messages as replies, like as like replies to the original message, so we don't have like to look for like messages between like dozens of other messages. And we also like had some shell formatting issues as we were just using curl to send the messages in bash. So that's why like we wanted to explore other solutions, and we started like looking for the workflow plugins. As it's mentioned in the documentations, it is Argo plugins like allow us to extend Argo workflows capabilities, and it is like simple enough to design or to be designed in any language, not necessarily Go. It is just like a simple HTTP server that responds to requests from Argo. So there are like a few open source plugins that we can find in the plugin directory in Argo documentation. So if we like take a closer look, we see that there's already a plugin that handles Slack notifications like the way we wanted, which is like to reply in threads to messages. It's called Terms, but like this plugin like offers like reusable notification templates, which means like you can have multiple Slack templates like to reuse for different teams. It also like updates messages like in place, like as a better and easier way to see the updates. But it talks to the Kubernetes client, so it requires like a mounted service account token, which is like not possible with Argo. And it also like requires like volume access, which is also not possible. And it is written in Rust, so like I can't read or write with that language, so I can't contribute. So we thought that we're just gonna build our own solution for that. And like we don't have to wait for approvals. We can just build and use like a plugin right away. So now we know like the story behind developing our plugin. So let's like take a look at the code. We use Golang, but you can use any other language. We also like chose Gen framework to build the server and Viber to manage the configurations. Here's an example of like a workflow that uses plugins. We see that we have the plugin YAML key, and then we have our plugin name, which is Slack. And inside this Slack key, we have some inputs that we expect to receive from Argo. So when Argo like sees this workflow, it is going like once it's submitted, it's going like to send a post request for all the installed plugins, passing a JSON body of everything in this template, the plugin, the inputs, and I believe some metadata about the workflow. And our plugin, which is again just a server, it is like going to receive that request on the specified port. It can be anything, just like avoid common ports so you don't conflict with other plugins. So when we look at the router, we use the frameworks like default settings or middlewares. And then we have like a group /API/v1. And then we like use a middleware for authentication. This is just going to check whether the request was like first initiated by Argo. It does so by checking for a token that is mounted to the bot itself. And once we get like that request on /API/v1, then /template.execute, we first like log the request, and then we read the JSON body for the request. And then we check if our plugin exists in the plugin names that we received in the JSON body. So if our plugin like exists, which means this was like a call to our plugin, we are going to do something. It's now hidden here. But if it's not, we will just respond with 200 with an empty JSON object, just for Argo to know that this is not our plugin. Like other plugins are supposed to respond to this request. So here's like an example of like a JSON body that we could receive from Argo. We get like a metadata information about the workflow, and we get like the template name, inputs, outputs, and the list of plugins in that template. So in this case, we have Slack as our plugin. So once we like check that Slack exists here, we will like take an action, which is to send a Slack message. So when we look at the previous example for the workflow, we see like it is like just a simple template with a list of parameters that will be sent to us. This is defined by like a struct that we have in Go. So we can like bind this JSON to a Go struct. So here is how we receive like the data from Argo in the JSON body. And here's the struct that we like define. We have defined like in our code to check for the data. For example, we expect to receive the template name, channels, whether or not to reply in a thread, and a list or a map of inputs. Now, when we get back like to our code, as we mentioned like earlier, we check for our plugin if it exists, and if yes, we read and bind that JSON that has like the configuration and the data for our plugin, and then we escape the inputs just to like check for or to escape the special characters, and then we call our plugins handler. So this is the function that is going to send a Slack notification or do something. And once this is done, we can return to Argo a response that everything went well, and like just it succeeded and it sent the Slack message. So this actually defines this process, defines the skeleton for perhaps any plugin. The difference will be in the handler function that it does like something differently for each plugin. When we take a look at the handler function, it for our Slack plugin, it just updates the cache, which cache we have like a small cache memory that we keep like running just to keep track of the messages and replies, just to figure out if we have sent like the initial, or we call it a primary message, so that we can like reply to that message later on and keep data about that message like stored. So for each Slack channel, inside the handler for each Slack channel we have received in the JSON body, we are going first to check for the template name. This is the Slack template that we will be used to send the channel, send the message. Sorry, and this is then we will like send a primary message. This is the message that is sent directly to the channel. And then we send a secondary message, which is the reply message that is sent to the like as a reply in a thread to the like a primary message. So the results, like if you recall before, we had like to scroll down to look for messages in the Slack channel, but now we get like a single message that has like updates in place and replies to the same primary message. So we keep like an eye like on a single message that updates itself, other than like scrolling down and looking for other messages. So we just like wait for that single message until like the deployment succeeded or receive the final message. And here are like the replies. As we can see, deployment started, the code scan, and then that deployment succeeded, which is much cleaner than the previous implementation. For the future, we are thinking of like creating a package template for the like the skeleton of any plugin, so that when we want like to develop like a new plugin, we just use like a template that is ready for us. We just like provide the handler function, so we can like use this like to develop more plugins like GitHub comments or any other third-party integrations. That's all we got for today. I hope you enjoyed the talk or learned something. Thank you, and feel free to ask any questions, if any.
Thank you. Great presentation here today. Yeah, any questions from folks?
Yeah, I'll just make one quick comment that this was a part of the workflow you might have saw back in November when I was presenting. And an additional nicety with the plugin is there's probably like not much overhead having that curl pod in like several parts of the workflow. But with the plugin, you do just get the long-lasting daemon for as decking things.
All right, I think if there are no more questions, I'll stop sharing. Thanks for everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Nizar. I really appreciate taking the time to walk us through your implementation of the Slack plugin. Yeah, and hopefully you have success on the GitHub side next. Yeah, if any other folks are looking to demo, happy to get you on the agenda for next month or the month after. We'd love to have more community demos and presentations. It's a good way to practice your ArgoCon talk as well. So yeah, that's like one thing to mention. And then yeah, thanks Anton for calling out the plugin directory. Please do add it in there if you can get legal approval. Thanks, Ray, for checking on that. Great. So yeah, I guess before we wrap up today, any other comments or questions from the community? Other things to note for new folks joining this meeting. So we have this monthly, and then we also have a twice monthly contributors meeting that gets more into OpenPR's active development on the project and how to contribute. So make sure to check that out. It's on the ArgoProj Google Calendar, which I'll share in the Google Doc, because I probably won't be able to find it right this minute. But yeah, we hope to see you there if you're interested in contributing. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Glenn. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.